How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at my complete Conjuring Universe DVD and Blu-ray collection. The first few are DVDs, and then I started buying all my new movies on Blu-ray, and you can see kind of where I started doing that. But one thing I do want to say before we get in is I'm shooting this video before Part 3 comes out. Conjuring 3 is set to come out September, I believe. But that being said, with the global pandemic, a lot of movies' futures are up in the air, and we don't know, will they come out, will they not come out, and I hope it does, because I'm really wanting to watch a new movie in the theaters, and I'm really hoping the world gets to be a little bit of a safer place. So hopefully the future's good and hopefully we get it, but until then, we don't know. So I'm gonna jump right in with the first movie. This is The Conjuring, based on the true case files of the Warrens. You get haunted house, creepy tree, the noose, and then if you look, the shadow doesn't match. But yeah, this is the Warrens. You get Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They're investigating a haunted house, and it's really good. You know, James Wan, he did Saw, and then Insidious was a PG-13 movie. Everyone thought it was just going to be a cash grab, but that turned into a really good and scary movie. And this is scary like Insidious, but a little more realistic, a little more darker, and overall very good. And, you know, modern classic. I love this one, and it really does have a lot of heart. You feel for the family, and you feel for the Warrens who are doing the investigation. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Now the prequel, the first part of that movie, the introductory part, they were investigating the Annabelle doll, and that character proved so popular she got her own spin-off. Before The Conjuring, there was Annabelle. And this one, the critics weren't as big of a fan of it, but it was actually a pretty good movie. It wasn't as good as The Conjuring. The Conjuring is, you know, grade A classic material. This was still a fine movie. You get a husband and wife. They're about to have a baby. They're in an apartment in New York. The husband finds the Annabelle doll in a thrift store, and it begins haunting people. And it's overall a really fun prequel. It kind of has the atmosphere of Rosemary's Baby, you know, being an apartment, and yeah, it was fine. It wasn't near as good as The Conjuring. It wasn't near as bad as the critics said, but a fun, you know, a fun prequel movie. Get to see more of the Annabelle character. After that, we got a sequel to the first one, The Conjuring 2. This one, they go to England to take a look at the Enfield poltergeist. And like the first one, you know, they really developed the family, and they really developed the Warrens, and it's a horror movie with a lot of heart. But they're being haunted by, let me zoom in on that, this creepy nun, and they don't know where it came from or why it's there, and they have to get rid of it. But Lorraine has a strange premonition that she's not really letting anyone in on, and she is worried throughout this whole movie, and you get to see what comes of that. You also get a quick look at the Crooked Man, who supposedly is going to get his own spin-off movie. That looks like it's really going to be cool. And also, the opening part of this movie is actually them investigating the Amityville house, and I always thought that was a cool move. You know, the Amityville story being so big, they made several movies out of it, and they're like, yeah, that's our just the opening piece. But hey, if they're gonna reboot the Amityville horror, which they will, they reboot everything, you might as well set it in the Conjuring universe. So if they do a reboot, I hope it's set in the Conjuring universe, if they can work that out. The next one, Annabelle Creation. This is a prequel to the movie Annabelle, so it's a prequel to a prequel, and I was really worried that this would cause continuity problems, but I have to give them major props for some clever writing where they don't actually contradict the first movie. So that's cool. But you get this one where Annabelle's in an orphanage. There's the person who owns the orphanage lost their daughter. They're locked up in a room. You don't know what's going on with them. And yeah, some cool haunted doll stuff in this big creepy house with all these kids, all these orphans, and it's going after them. It's a really great movie. This is the only one of the spin-offs that's as good as the two main Conjuring films, as good as the James Wan films, so definitely check this out. The director, David F. Sandberg, is on YouTube, so if you're interested in filmmaking, he does, he's really down to earth, yet serious, and he'll, show you how to do a bunch of stuff. It's a really good channel for those of you who are interested in filmmaking. If you go to the Lights Out short on YouTube, it's that channel. I think it's like Pony Smasher or something. And you can also check out all his other shorts, but definitely recommend looking into that YouTube channel. Annabelle Creation, really fun. The only one of the spin-offs that's as good as the main two movies. Moving on, though, we have the first of 3 movies that the critics absolutely hated. I disagree with them on some of that. Starting off with The Nun. This is a prequel to Conjuring 2, and you get to see where the nun came from and what's its deal. And it's set in a castle. I think it's a rectory. And you get this guy, a local Frenchman, who has found the body of a nun who killed herself. And the church sends in a priest, this guy, and this girl who's about to be a nun to investigate. This is actually the sister of the girl that plays Lorraine Warren. But they're there to investigate, and it's this big, creepy, gothic castle. I love the setting of this one. It's very spooky looking around this big, giant castle, and it's fun, these 3 people exploring that. Now, there were a little bit of jump scares, and there were a few moments that were a little sillier, but overall, I love this movie. I love the gothic castle. It was so creepy, and maybe it's because I'm a fan of the more classic monsters, and you don't get too many modern gothic movies, but this is one that I really loved it, but the critics hated it. But fun gothic castle movie. It was great. Now this next one, The Curse of La Llorona. The critics hated this one, and for this one I kind of see why. It's about this Mexican legend. This lady, she finds out her husband had an affair. She, in a fit of rage, drowns her kids, and now she haunts kids. And this lady, Linda Cardellini, finds someone who appears to be abusing their children, but says it's actually the La Llorona spirit. La Llorona, I'm sorry. And you get this guy at the end who's left the church, but still very much believes in God, and he's trying to use kind of his own things. He brings different tools to the table to try to defeat her. The pacing is a little off, especially in the middle, and there are a bunch of just jump scares and stuff. So I see why the critics didn't like this one. It's not as good as the others. It's watchable, but it's definitely the weakest of the series. It's just not as well put together. Jump scary and pacing issues, and just it didn't get on board with it. It does say from the producers of the Conjuring universe, so they don't advertise it as being a Conjuring movie, but the priest from the Annabelle movies actually does make an appearance, and they show a brief, few seconds of the Annabelle movies, so it's definitely the same universe. But yeah, that's definitely the weakest. But the one that I disagree with the critics the most on, Annabelle Comes Home. They didn't like it, but this is a great movie. Now, this is set in the same time as the first 2 Conjuring movies, so it's not a prequel anymore. Annabelle is locked in the Warrens' artifact room. The Warrens go out on a case. They leave their daughter alone with the babysitter, and the babysitter brings over her friends. They go in the artifact room and accidentally open Annabelle's box. She's able to get up and rile the other spirits. So this is like a big ensemble movie. You know, you don't just get Annabelle, you get all these other ghosts. There's like 3 or 4 big ones and then a bunch of smaller ones, but like the blood-splattered bride, the ferryman with the coins, there's a werewolf outside, there's this statue, this Japanese armor in the Warren's artifact room that you see it every time you think something spooky's gonna happen. And in this one, it finally starts to do something. But then you get like Creepy Cymbal Monkey, this thing from the first movie. There's so many cool different characters. And the critics go, hey, you know those characters are just commercials for other Conjuring spin-off movies they might want to make. And yeah, that's true, but I really don't care because they're so cool, each and every one of them. And I like, you know, if you're making characters, write them strong enough where they can have their own spin-off movies. That's a sign that you're making a cool character. And it was so fun to see all these different characters and monsters, and it was great. You know, the critics were like, oh, it's just a haunted house movie where, like walking through a haunted house, you go through the scary location and things pop out and scare you. And yeah, there is sillier moments, there is a ton of jump scares, but I do like a movie that is like walking through a haunted house, and this one was tons of fun. Not as serious as the other movies, and yeah, not as good as the best of them, but I had a blast with this one, and I think this is the 4th best one, and I really don't agree with the critics on this. Yeah, it is a little cheesy, but it's an ensemble horror movie, kind of like the Avengers all coming together, but they're all different Warren artifacts. And yeah, I'd say, okay, the order, Conjuring 1 and 2 are at the top, followed by Annabelle Creation, but then Annabelle comes home as the 4th best one. And I know the critics hated it, but I really like that movie, and maybe it's just me. But anyway, we've taken a look at the complete Conjuring collection. Thank you for watching. This might have been a longer video than I'm used to doing, but I really wanted to talk about all these movies. They're fun. I really do like them. But anyway, the more cynical among you, Conjuring 1 and 2, and Annabelle Creation. But for those of you who can have more fun with movies, they're all pretty good. And I'm a big fan of this series, and I can't wait for Conjuring Part 3 to come out. But anyway, I do primarily horror movies on this channel. I'll have more reviews coming again really soon, and I do like doing these complete series collection reviews, and I'll probably make their own playlist and put it down here. I've done Cube and Return of the Living Dead, stuff like that. And anyway, to everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping this channel out. I'll see you guys again very soon. I do about 95% horror, so there will be more horror movie reviews coming very soon. Anyway, have a good day, and I'll see y'all soon.